Has it been posted on SGA or sale for
Yeah.
we can just post it out there.
You want me to like introduce you? Sure. And now call next week to call the meeting to order.
Do you want to do it on my phone? The live? No. Never mind. The live?
It's live there.
Oh, okay.
Justin.
Good evening, Westfield State. I would like to call SGA President Nicholas Smith to the front to call this debate to order. Heck yeah. I'm gonna steal the gavel. I'll put it back, don't worry. I would like to call to order the April 9th meeting of the Student Government Association debates. I do want to let you guys know that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded in the front of the room by the owl cam. It picks up sound and audio, so keep that in mind. All the candidates that are debating, I want to wish you good luck, and you've been called to order. Good evening, everyone. I am here as your moderator this evening, and I'm going to go through a few policies and procedures to make sure we are all on the same page for how tonight will run. All candidates and affiliated individuals will be held accountable to the contents of the rules of the SGA Executive Board election policies and procedures that they were all emailed in advance of tonight's meeting. All debate rules violations shall be addressed as established by the current rules that were sent to the Executive Board members. Participants, moderators, and members of the audience shall be respectful of each other at all times. Candidates for Student Government President, Student Trustee, Vice President of Student Life, and Vice President of Publicity will be the ones participating in the debate this evening. Candidates are not allowed to use technology at any time during the debate this evening. Candidates were allowed to bring printed copies of their platform for personal use. They are not allowed to use any props or hand materials out at this time. For your moderators, the Director of Student Activities, Involvement, and Leadership serves as the primary moderator of the debate and will enforce all rules and regulations hereby established. The Coordinator of Student Activities will serve as the secondary moderator and shall assist in enforcing all rules and regulations and serve as your timer this evening. We will not, as moderators, actively engage in any of the discussion with the candidates. Moderators will address all disrespectful behavior and redirect the debate if necessary. In order to ensure fairness, moderators will enforce the debate rules equally, especially for those pertaining to the speaking time limits. Audience, we ask that you maintain appropriate decorum to avoid distractions to the candidates, the moderators, and other members of our audience. The audience is not permitted to ask questions of the candidates during the debate. The only questions are the ones that have been established pre-debate this evening. For some time formats to share with everybody, opening statements will be given by all candidates. Candidates are permitted 1 minute for an opening statement. Presidential candidates are allotted 2 minutes for their opening statement. All candidates are asked a general question that they were allowed to prepare for in advance. They will have 2 minutes to discuss this question with everybody. Each position will have a discussion question, one that is one for all candidates, and a second one that is per position. These are questions that they did not prepare for. The presidential candidates have 2 different questions that do not pertain to the other positions. Each candidate will be given 1 minute for a closing statement at the end of the debate. Presidential candidates, you get 2 minutes for your closing statement at the end. For the discussion questions that are the debate specific, the first candidate to respond to the question is allotted 90 seconds to speak. Rebuttal will last for 90 seconds from candidate B. And then the candidate A who begins is allotted a final 30 seconds to make any closing argument that they would like on the response to the question. Does anyone in the audience, candidate, audience, or participant have any questions before we get started this evening? All right, let the debate begin. I would like to call up candidates for Vice President of Publicity. Based on a coin toss that was done before the debate this evening, Devin will begin the debate with his opening statement. Time begins when you start speaking.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Devin Ortmeyer, and I'll be a senior next year. I have the experiences of being both a commuter and a residential student, a member of the varsity cross-country team, and a person on the autism spectrum who has experience, who is a member of the Banacco Center. I feel that my experiences with these important facets of student life give me the background to, and they give me the background to connect and relate to my fellow students and help them to and appeal to their needs. And if you have any questions.
Time.
Elizabeth, your time begins when you begin.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Mercer, and I'm running for Vice President of Publicity. I'm from Wallingford, Connecticut. I'm majoring in psychology. I play on the women's ice hockey team and do intramurals. I'm involved in Lafayette and have a huge passion for going to the gym. I've been involved in SGA since my freshman year when I served as class president for class of 2025. I then ran for VP of Publicity and have been serving in this position for 2 years now. I have found a community within SGA, and I am beyond grateful for the opportunities this role has granted me. In this role, I chair many committees, such as NAB, which stands for the Neighborhood Advisory Board, which stopped during COVID, but last year we revamped, and it was a huge success reestablishing community relations. I look forward to strengthening relations with students, neighbors, and community as a whole for my first year in student government.
Thank you, candidates. We will now move into our general question. The question that has been chosen for tonight is, how will you work with the Student Government Association to create a more inclusive and welcoming community for all students?
Thank you. I will work with student government to create a more inclusive and welcoming environment for all students in our community by using my previous experiences to connect with them, to connect with students, and try to and I will meet with committees, meet with students. I will as a community residential student, I know what it has been like to to be on both sides of that, and I noticed big differences between the two. And as a member of the cross country team for many years, I know what it's like to be part of a team, and how important it is that everyone is working toward the same shared goal. Like working towards the same shared goal. And as a member of the Bonacos community, the Bonaco Center, and so on autism spectrum, I can relate to students on autism spectrum and understand the difficulties that they face, and try to accommodate them through my role and during SGA. If you elect me, I will serve you the best I will serve you well in this position.
Same question.
I will continue to work with the Student Government Association to create a more inclusive and welcoming environment by being kind and outgoing to each student on campus. I'm confident in my personality and drive to establish new friendships on campus and meeting new people, making them feel welcomed. I'll never forget when Katie Egan, who at the time was sophomore class president, turned her chair and gave me her phone number and said, "If you need anything or have any questions about SGA, feel free to text me." From that moment on, I felt like I had a friend and someone who truly wanted me in that room. From feeling nervous in a new environment to speaking at a podium every Tuesday, I learned that one person can make a huge difference, and I aspire to be that person for others, and to be that friend that can lead them to feelings I felt, which is welcomed and wanted. I look towards my peer leaders such as Lorraine, President Alafe, and my RA such as Ireland, and how flyers don't create a community, but a person does. As I have been inspired by kindness and empathetic personalities over the year, I am confident that I have developed skills in which I can personally make everyone feel welcome and included within the campus community.
We'll now move on to discussion question 1. Candidates, are you ready?
Yes, thank you.
The question is, student government is continually improving its processes and is about to enter a major constitution review year. What is something you've seen in SGA this year that you see as needing improvement, and what initiative would you start in your role next year to address this need? And you have 90 seconds.
This is my first time ever running for SGA, so but I feel that that the campus, that SGA needs to be more connected to the students, and I feel there is a certain disconnection. Not many people go to events, and just not enough student participation. But I would, as vice president of publicity, I will try to make events to appeal to all students, all their interests, all their interests, and so to try to because we at Westfield are our team, and we work together towards a common goal. And I want to try to unite Westfield together.
You have 90 seconds to rebuttal.
I would say that seeing through SGA as not only a member, but also seeing it through a student side, seeing it through someone who's very active in the gym, who's someone who's very takes school very seriously. I would say that SGA, the next year being Constitution Review year, we definitely need to focus on how we can attract people who may not know what SGA is, or who may not feel welcomed, or who may not feel as if this is a place for them. I think if you vote for me, I think by being someone who many people can relate to, whether it's being shy, being an athlete, or being in Bonacos, or I just think having a friendly face that has been SGA for multiple years would definitely go a long way, showing that you can start and you will finish SGA, you will finish the school year, whether or not you decide to join the campus events or not, you will find a home in SGA, and I think that needs to be reiterated throughout the campus, and I'll do anything to make that known.
You have 30 seconds to say any final words.
Any final words?
For that question.
Oh. All right. I definitely agree. You made some good points there. But I feel that as someone who and as an outsider, I feel that, and as a student here for many years, I feel that like I can speak from my own experience, from my own role as a from my own experiences, and if you elect me,
Time.
Okay.
Discussion question 2 for both candidates. How will you create an engaging social media presence that highlights areas within the Student Government Association and student leadership within those areas they oversee? How will you work with your executive board to make this happen? Elizabeth, you speak first this time.
Okay. I think by using Canva that I have like the premium access to, I think like definitely by like going through like social media, but I think my stronger point, and I think the stronger point in many aspects, is definitely word by mouth, word by friend. I invited a few people that are here today because I invited them in class, and I think it's making those connections, not just by flyers and not just by like social media presence, which I love, but I think it's definitely extending that hand, and I think that not that many people do that. Not that many people say like introduce themselves, like who you are. I just think friendship is the reason why establishing a community is the foundation for establishing community. You can't make a flyer without making a friend.
90 seconds to rebuttal.
I believe that that friendships and relationships are created for common interests, and because of this belief, as your vice president of student publicity, I will work with all the clubs to create joint events to appeal to everyone's interests, because I believe that the Westfield is a wonderful place, and I feel like that we should be more united. And so I will make extensive use of Canva and in Instagram and Snapchat and all the social media, Facebook to make more events that will appeal to everyone and bring greater participation and help unite Westfield State, the college and community.
Just reiterating what I think we both said, I think the community part is a huge factor, and I think that I'm looking at a very qualified candidate, and I think that just having people running for this role that really have student-centered views is crucial. So I think the future looks bright.
We will now do closing statements. Each candidate has 1 minute. Time begins when you're ready, Devin.
Okay, thank you. And for me, being at Westfield has been a very transformative experience. I feel like I've really discovered myself here. I feel like through the events that I've attended and through the clubs that I have taken part in, I've truly discovered myself. I'm part of Radio Club. I'm part of the Communications Club. I'm part of the Outing Club, part of the Gaming Club. I'm a member of Land of Paeta. I feel like these organizations and groups have given me and helped create a group of friends and identity and just and in a way I discovered these things was through social media and was through social media and announcements. So I feel that it is very important that I feel it's very important that people that students are united and that we bring greater participation so people can like discover themselves here.
Begin when ready.
I am grateful for everything SGA has taught me, and I look forward to running for this position again. I found myself a better person because of SGA, and I'm surrounded by people who push me to be better. I'm surrounded by people who push me to be better, who support my ideas and infiltrate ways in which to execute them, and people who are always there for me. SGA means so much to me, and I wouldn't be here without it. Each year on SGA, I believe I extended a warm welcome to many friends, students, and strangers by either letting them know about Owl Ball and telling them that it won't be the same without them, or encouraging them to go to events. I care deeply about friendships and finding people to share college experience with, and I love promoting and publicizing events in which students can make friends and connect with people as I did. I love this role and I love the bonds I've created with people over the last 3 years in SGA, and I look forward to growing as a person, as a leader, and especially as a friend in this position.
Please give one final round of applause for both of our candidates. And you may be seated. Candidate for Vice President of Finance. You will have 1 minute for your opening statement. You can begin when ready.
Hello, everyone. My name is Austin Morgan. I'm a junior. As someone with over 3 years of leadership experience on campus and also a year with Westfield State finance experience, I have tested my mettle time and time again on what it is to be a campus leader here. I believe with both my work ethic and my finance acumen, I can be someone who makes a difference in SGA, not only as a leader, but also as a person in finance.
Our candidate will now answer the following question. How will you work with the Student Government Association to create a more inclusive and welcoming community for all students?
As someone who has put on campus events before, I realized that there is a discrepancy in the events that we do. I have seen how events that are very focused on diversity, equity, inclusion sometimes get brushed to the side. I would be remiss, and I know it's a paramount task, that we get all the groups on campus to come to events and make a difference. As someone who has seen these people not show up to events and not feel included, it destroys me. So working with both the exec board and on the finance committee, I would make sure that all these events are brought to the front and really advertised and funded well to make sure that all the events that we want to be on campus are on campus.
1 minute closing statement.
Sure. This is my first year of SGA, and the slogan of SAIL is see more, do more. And it was not until I joined SGA that I saw all I could be and all I want to be. This whole organization brought me out of a very dark time in my life, and I know now what it means to make a difference. And I feel as though going into my senior year, I can make more of a difference. And I realize it is a paramount task to be someone on this campus who can help. And the saying goes, a person can be able, but it's not until they experience that they are willing. And I am now willing.
I now call candidates for Vice President of Student Life. According to our coin toss, Justin begins, right? Okay, sorry, I forgot to write down that one. Right, Justin, when you're ready, you can begin your opening statement.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Wall, and I'm a sophomore political science and history double major running for the Vice President of Student Life. I want to bring in a new style of leadership with engagement, empathy, and adaptability to student government in order to bring in a policy of more talking and more action. More often than not, people at Westfield like to beat around the bush and avoid questions instead of listening to students and being honest, and that needs to change. If elected, I will ensure that students are included in all the talks concerning counseling, mental health, res life, university branding and culture, dining changes, and all other policies that heavily impact student life at Westfield.
You may begin when ready.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sadani Grover. I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts, and I'm a first year. I'm a part of the Lead Scholars Program, and I'm the vice president of Caribbean Student Union. If I become vice president of Student Life, I want to make Westfield State more a campus where you promote diversity and inclusion where diversity and inclusion is in our foundation, because it is. It is our school's values. Because having a safe space where for all students creates a learning environment that enhances the student experience and life for everyone.
Our general question is again, how will you work with the Student Government Association to create a more inclusive and welcoming community for all students? I'm going to begin when ready.
I will plan on working with all the other vice presidents, as well as the entire executive board, hall representatives, club leaders, to loop in all voices and opinions. I currently plan on reaching out to student athletes, all of the affinity groups, to try and reach out and engage for this campaign, because there's really no way we can get through it without their voices. And I think that's really important. It's something we've been lacking recently. If elected, I will collaborate with the VP of Student Equity to further work with these groups and many more to get the diversity and inclusion representative and SGA club representative seats filled, so there's proper representation on the Student Government Association. In this position, I would also work to bridge the gap between academic and student affairs in order to further help students feel comfortable with those two sectors of campus, so they can feel comfortable getting involved and making Westfield their home.
Same question, you can begin with me.
I would work with Student Government Association by making a more diverse campus through inclusive events. An idea I propose is having a blood drive to raise awareness for National Leukemia and Sickle Cell Awareness Month. I also want to collaborate with the DC to celebrate more cultures through the food. I also want to create a completely vegetarian station for all students who don't eat meat. I want to foster a campus community for inclusion by amplifying student voices and concerns about their experiences inside and outside of the classrooms. For all faculty and staff, because everyone on campus should be working towards making this university a place where everyone belongs.
'Cause we are going to move into our discussion questions. Question number 1. Student government is continually improving its processes and is about to enter a major constitution review year. What is something you've seen in SGA this year that you see as needing improvement? And what initiative would you start in your role next year to address the need?
Currently, as the parliamentarian, I've read the Constitution many times, and at this point, I know it like the back of my hand. I've seen so many issues this year, just in the one semester of having that position, that I think we need to address. In the constitutional review next year, I would love to sit on that committee and get the changes added to the Constitution that we need, such as getting the advisors out of the room on internal SGA committees, because the students need to be making the decisions, and they shouldn't be told how to make the decision. That's probably the biggest one. Another one would probably be returning the power to the students. The students have the voice, and they're given the voice. And at the Model UN conference I went to recently, I heard so many student government associations across the country don't have that same power, and we do. We're lucky enough to have that power, and I think we should keep it.
Same question. Repeat the question. Yep. Student government is continually improving its processes and is about to enter a major constitution review year. What is something you've seen in SGA this year that you see as needing improvement, and what initiative would you start in your role next year to address the need?
I feel like an issue that I've seen is the lack of diversity. The way I see it is how can we build a better community in our campus without having more diverse voices and people within SGA? And I feel like also, like he said, giving the power back to the students, because how can we improve if we don't have the ability to listen and learn from everyone?
I completely agree. We need to fill the seats that we have on the Student Government Association. We have the diversity and inclusion seats for a reason and the club seats for a reason, but we don't use them. They're not advertised. Nobody knows about them. And that's a part of getting us diverse voices. We need to have these groups represented, but if they don't know they can represent themselves in these ways, then they're not going to fill those seats. So I think going to them and making these changes is the proper way to go.
Our second discussion question in which you'll begin. Westfield State Pride is a topic that continues to be discussed across campus as we develop new programs and initiatives that create a sense of belonging on campus. How will you work towards increasing a sense of belonging and pride in our institution in your role, working alongside student service areas?
I feel like we should do that by acknowledging that we have more than one cultural differences within our students and embracing and celebrating their cultural stuff. And, you know,
Westfield State Pride is a topic that continues to be discussed across campus as we develop new programs and initiatives that create a sense of belonging on campus. How will you work towards increasing a sense of belonging and pride in our institution in your role, working alongside student service areas?
So I personally don't have many views on it, but I think that's a good thing. I think we should reach out to the students. The students know what they want, and the students know what they need. And if a student feels like Westfield isn't their home and they don't feel like they belong, we need to go to them, we need to reach out, and we need to figure out what they need in order to belong, to make Westfield their home. Because that's what we are. We're a big family. That's what President Thompson talks about all the time. And I just think there's not enough outreach with that. And I think we need to work with everybody, get some proper, I guess branding around everywhere. Make sure people know this is Westfield when they step on the campus, and make sure people remember it. We don't want people leaving this campus and thinking of it as just another generic college campus. We want them to remember when they leave, even if they're just here for a visit, that this is Westfield, and we have Westfield pride.
30 seconds to rebuttal any for that question.
I agree a lot with you, Solid, and everything like that. I also think that it's the ability that change is inevitable, and it's a simple fact of like us moving towards that instead of standing back and being like, we don't know what's wrong with this campus. I feel like it's us taking the initiative to see the issues and address them and change them for all the students here.
We will now do closing statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute. You can just...
Gonna go a little off script here. I got into student government because I didn't feel like I had a purpose here. And once I got in, I knew what I wanted to do. I got in and I had people like Aaron Lessing reaching out to me and telling me that I can do so much in this position. And that's what guided me this way. I was posed with a difficult question when elections came up, and that was choosing between two different positions. And SGA is my home. All the people within it are my family. And I think next year, if we all work together, we can all make the change that Westfield needs to make it a better place. And without that sense of belonging within SGA, I don't think any of us would be here. And I think that's a big reason why I want this position, is because we know we can make the change. And like Austin said, we need to be willing to do it. And we need to be willing to move forward. We need to be willing to have difficult conversations. And we need to be willing to stand up for ourselves whenever we need to.
I am the best person for this role, not only due to my vast experiences that I hold, but also because of my purpose. I don't stand up here for myself, but for all of my peers. I have seen and heard all the concerns, and if you choose to elect me, I promise I'll try my best to make a difference here at Westfield State, because we all deserve to be seen and heard.
Please give one final round of applause for both our candidates. Candidate for student trustee.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Daniel Currier, and I'm seeking your vote for re-election as a student trustee at Westfield State University. As a member of the Board of Trustees, the governing body of the institution, I have brought a student perspective to the board, and I have ensured that your voice and your concerns are heard at the highest levels of the organization. I bring this perspective to all the committees that I serve on, including the Strategic Planning Committee, whose work will positively impact the lives of our students over the next 5 years. I've provided strategic leadership over several initiatives designed to improve your experience. For example, I heard students loud and clear when they expressed confusion over how to find a job on campus. After working in partnership with various offices on campus, including the Career Center, I am thrilled to report that an on-campus student employment portal has been successfully established. No longer will students have to travel office to office in search of a job. I care deeply about our student body and the place I call home, and I hope to continue that work so that your experience can be enhanced and your institution can thrive for many years to come.
Your general question: how will you work with the Student Government Association to create a more inclusive and welcoming community for all students?
Thank you, Matt. And as you said in your question, all students. One thing that's been discussed in the Strategic Planning Committee recently is that there is a group of students on our campus that do not have access to the most basic of services on this campus. If you're a graduate student or a part-time undergrad, you cannot access the counseling center, you cannot access health services, you cannot access the basics. That's a problem. It's been that way for a while for a variety of reasons, but I'm very happy that we are working in the direction where students can now have a sense of purpose, that they can actually access those services if they're a grad or part-time student. They are a student, full stop. We should definitely work to create a graduate student association with whatever we can do as well. They have important contributions to make. They are still considered students in which they should have a voice, even though this is the undergraduate student government association. I will work with the administration, including President Thompson, to ensure that our JEDI efforts are continued. We do not have a division of JEDI currently, and it will be some time before we hire a VP, but we need to ensure that the cabinet and the Board of Trustees does maintain those values and those initiatives moving forward. I do commit, and I do want to ensure that all of SGA, and I brought this idea forward this year, we need to regularly meet with students outside the classroom in your areas. We need to have focus groups with students, for instance, with the Lead Scholars Program or with TRIO or with other areas. We can't just expect people to show up to office hours. It's archaic. We got to actually go to you. And I do want to ensure that we support all of our registered student organizations here on our campus. Currently, how our budget structure works is we pay 50% of your student activity fee dollars go to salaries. That's a problem. It needs to go to actually student activities, to the clubs that put on those events. Those are woefully underfunded. So we need to ensure, and I will continue to advocate to ensure that your student activity fee dollars go to support various registered student organizations, including our affinity groups, who do so much on our campus and put on events every single week.
Closing statement.
Yes, so 3 years ago, I graduated from a school, but I was there for 13 years. It was a charter school. Their motto was enter to learn and exit to lead. And I've done that over the past 3 years here at this institution. I came here, wanted to get involved in student government. I started from the very beginning, and I've been committed to ensuring that your experience can be better. I have worked in a variety of roles, including Vice President for Finance, and this year as a student trustee. I hope that I can continue that work into my senior year. It's gone by very quick the past 3 years, but I hope that I can continue to work with my colleagues on the board, alongside members of the cabinet, all staff and faculty to improve your experience. I am currently working on a proposal for a common hour policy to ensure that you have time to complete your needs, and all student organizations can meet. We have a sense of purpose here at the institution. It's not very popular among some sectors of this campus, but I'm ready to be in that position to stand up for the students, and I will not back down. Thank you.
Yes, Dan.
I now call up your candidates for Student Government Association President.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joseph Bonilla. I serve as the current Vice President of Student Equity here, and I served as class president to the class of 2026, my freshman year. I'll be graduating next year, so I'm now considered a junior. I'm a double major in health sciences and psychology. I have concentration in gerontology. One of my biggest passions is really just understanding the aging process and how we can implement more, I guess, interventions to support these people. I work along with the aging community as a nursing assistant. I'm the co-founder and president of the Gerontology Club. And I don't know, I mean, I've been involved all over the place, but I don't want to waste all time and talk about why I'm experienced enough to be in this position, because I think we're both pretty good candidates. I think that one of the biggest components is really why I started. And I think I've heard a lot, and it kind of inspired me because, you know, when I went to college, I was a first generation college student, and really what I had envisioned as what the college experience is what you see in movies. You know, everyone on the green, everyone doing Frisbee or whatever it may be. And we're starting to see more of that now that the weather's out. But yesterday, during the eclipse, I saw so many people on the green, and I just realized, wow, this is what I thought my college experience was going to be. And I think that when I think about the way that I'm trying to implement strategies, practices, and create a sense of community here, it all starts with belonging. And I think that, you know, we need to let's stop talking about all the other things and start meeting students where they're at. I think that even for the senators in the room, where's the sense of purpose? What are we doing to make you guys feel like you're included in the room? Where's the autonomy of the Student Government Association? Sometimes we feel like our voices are stepped on, trampled, and, you know, we work with administration, and hi, Maggie, hi, VP Heard, have heard my frustrations every now and then. And I think that, you know, one of the biggest components is really that I want to be there for the students, and I want to make sure that we are establishing that sense of community, because without the community, we aren't a government association, we don't represent our constituencies, and we aren't living what we're supposed to be doing on our college campus. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Wyndham. I'm a junior political science major, so this is pretty fitting for me to be up here. I'm a minor in English and history, and I'm the current VP of Student Life. I've been on student government for about 2 years, and when I joined my sophomore year, I didn't really have many friends in college. I didn't feel like I had a purpose in college. It wasn't until I joined student government and I got to work with students every day that I found my purpose, and that's why I'm running for president. In my last 2 years, I have worked on the Student Affairs Committee, mostly, well, this year on the Student Affairs Committee, mostly with faculty and staff, to tell them what students need from them and what we think we can do better. One of that was a coffee crawl idea. Mostly started with Maggie, who I meet with quite frequently, and it turned into an idea of showing the rest halls to staff and faculty, mostly professors, kind of show them what the student experience is like and how they can relate better to students, kind of building a community here at Westwood State. The other committee I'm the chair on is food services. I know the DC is a hot button topic with pretty much every student in this room, so it's definitely been a challenge and has prepared me for if I become president of student government. Last year, I helped build the commuter lounge and wrote the funding for that got that bankroll. As a commuter student for the first 2.5 years of my college career and a residential student for this half of the year and next year, I know what the different perspectives are like, and I feel like I bring a good perspective to the role of president.
Our general question, at no surprise to anyone in the room at this point, how will you work with the Student Government Association to create a more inclusive and welcoming community for all students?
You know, when I saw this email asking that question, I was actually really glad that they asked it, partly because my role as Vice President of Student Equity and Diversity, Equity, Inclusion really is the gist of what I do. But my campaign is essentially based on 2 ideas. 1, how do we establish a sense of community at Westwood, as I alluded to earlier? And 2, how do we curate a sense of belonging among our students, which I also alluded to. To answer this question, I want you all to think about a scenario of an average first-year student at Westfield. They just so happen to decide to go to the DC with their to-go container, avoid social interaction, and go in and out. And then this unfortunately becomes a greater part and sums up their entire first semester. Sorry, lost track, wow. Will this student leave? Probably. So to answer this question, I'll redirect towards another. How do we catch that student before they leave? How do we catch that student before their entire first year experience is just going to the DC by themselves and staying in their room? this is actually a topic that my predecessor, Rodney, in the role of VP Student Equity, talked about a lot, the siloing of our community. And I think the answer to this question is really simple. I have learned through my varied roles at this institution that the best way to understand students is to get out of that room in the basement of Ely. It's not conducive to us anymore. It's about reversing the expectation that students must seek us out and instead taking the initiative to see them where they are, meet them where they are at. I really value the premise of collaboration. I hypothesize that as soon as we begin to establish synergetic and meaningful relationships with campus partners, recognized student organizations, et cetera, we can expand our reach and better address the needs of those who might otherwise slip through the cracks. Like my favorite quote by Helen Keller goes, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." By broadening the scope of our student government's outreach efforts, we can profoundly impact the experiences of our peers. Imagine if that student felt like they belonged. They would have said hi to a stranger in the DC and found a true friend. By championing initiatives that prioritize student achievement, thank you.
You know, I think it's kind of interesting how Joseph described the average student's experience as go to class, eat your food, and go back to your dorm. Because that was pretty much how my first year at Westfield State went. As a commuter, I would come to class, I'd eat my sandwich on the third floor of Wilson in those little chairs and hide away and read my book, and I'd go home. Didn't really feel like a community. And I wish that someone from student government would have come to that third floor of Wilson, found me, and been like, there's groups on campus like this that do stuff that we've both been working on all year, and kind of show that there's that sense of community here. And I pretty much wrote the same thing. I wrote that one of those things that I would do if I was elected president that we've been working on this year is to reach out to different pockets on campus. During elections, Laura and some of the exec members were going around the classrooms kind of telling people, you know, run for positions, what student government's about. And I feel like to make a more diverse and inclusive student government, that is a very effective strategy. We got to go to those pockets of campus. We have committees such as the Student Athletic Advisory Council, which meets once a week, where I feel like we should go to them, find their needs, their concerns, bring them back to student government and see how we can help them. That was something that one of the former VPs of Student Life did when he got the to-go containers during COVID. And then we were trying to keep them going last year for student athletes. I feel that just finding out what students' concerns are and their needs and kind of tailoring student government to help all students is our best scenario.
We will now begin our discussion questions. Question number 1. Experience and engagement with the Westfield State Administration is an integral part of being student body president. What experiences do you have working with current or former administrators that would benefit you in this role?
That's a great question. So a little bit about me. Aside from my role as Vice President of Student Equity, I worked with the former Vice President of Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion as a student fellow in his office. Started off as, what are we doing? How are we building this role? What is needed for the students? And in many instances, he really became a mentor for me. He taught me a lot about, like, you know, what it means to really encompass a campus in terms of DEI. What are the students' needs? How do we meet them where they're at? In many instances, I would go to his office and talk about SGA and my frustrations and see how I can better support students, because I felt like, you know, one of the things that I've said a lot during my role, or my time in my role currently, is one of the unfortunate things about representing a diaspora of students on our campus is the fact that your own lived experience will always be at the forefront of what your opinions and perceptions are. So while I have the best intentions, I will never be able to represent everybody in the room. That's why I really put forward and really believe in the idea of collaboration, you know, establishing that sense of community. But curating that relationship really taught me how to develop myself as a professional and hold myself in rooms as maybe a mover shaker, a person who doesn't necessarily agree with something that someone says. And Maggie can definitely attest to me disagreeing with her in many instances and being like, Maggie, I don't know about that. And we have a conversation and we sit down and we do it. You know, there's been many instances that I'm like, Maggie, what's going on? And Maggie's like, Joseph, this is what I think is best. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about that. I've set many times to meet with her. Thank you.
Experience and engagement with the Westfield State Administration is an integral part of being student body president. What experiences do you have working with current or former administrators that would benefit you in this role?
You know, in my position, I have the very fortunate opportunity to work with a lot of professionals here at Westfield State. VP Hearn, who I meet with quite frequently and have such a great relationship with, that in the fall, I asked him if he'd play a game of catch with me once. He never took me up on that offer, but I'm still waiting on it. Maggie in the back of the room with, I meet all the time. Even if we just bump into each other by Dunkin' Donuts, you know, we always talk. Last year, the person who was in the role before VP Hearn, Dan Forrester, I still see around campus and I talk to a lot, and he kind of helps guide me through that. I'm the chair of the Student Affairs Committee, so that's basically all faculty and staff with a couple students like Austin up here in the front that teach me new things, and I get to hear the professor's perspective, athletics. We have Giselle from the Career Center, so I get all the different areas of Westfield State and the professionals' experience, as well as professors. I have some professors that I'm very close with that I talk about SGA with, and so I guess just if I'm elected to this role, I have a lot of connections on campus that I feel I can help utilize.
Cool, thank you. Additionally, I serve on the Massachusetts Advisory Council for the Advancement of Representation in Education. I was appointed by, I was selected and nominated by President Thompson and then elected chosen by the Secretary of Education. We've met across many months since June of last year, looking at what the implications of affirmative actions removal have had on the student experience and how to establish better practices. And I think that my experience with stakeholders across the state, this has
Time.
over 70. Wow. Okay. Thank you.
30 seconds, guys.
It's okay. It goes so quickly.
Our second question, we'll start with you, Jack. Accountability is defined as taking ownership to ensure priorities are achieved. How will you work with your executive board to hold yourself and one another accountable to the goals you set for the organization in the coming year?
This is something that I definitely feel like we've had experience with this year. Like Siddiq's leadership, just the president checking in on his exec board, making sure that what gets talked about in exec on Mondays gets fulfilled. If there's a deadline, the reminders in the group meet, the emails, just to make sure whatever he says gets done. I feel like it's something I'm going to carry forward next year if elected. I will make sure my exec board is supported. I'll do whatever it is. I'll meet with whoever. I'm not afraid, if I got to push some buttons, even with people that I've good connections with, just to help my exec board fulfill that, and then make sure that they're accountable by doing what they've set out to do. I feel like it's something I'm really looking into. So I guess it would be making sure I meet with my exec board, keep them on task, keep them focused. It's mainly my priority with that.
Can you re-ask the question? Thank you.
Accountability is defined as taking ownership to ensure priorities are achieved. How will you work with your executive board to hold yourself and one another accountable to the goals you set for the organization in the coming year?
Thank you. I think that, this comes back to what I view my role as president as if I were to be elected into it. And I think that the role of president isn't really the front leadership role that everyone thinks it is. And it's really about developing your team, developing yourself, and holding each other accountable. I think that, when we think about our experiences together and under the leadership of Nick, I think I've noticed that you're not effective if you're leading from the front. You're effective if you're listening to everyone else in the room and making sure that all voices are implemented into the things that you put through and put forward. And I think that accountability comes from me having that conversation with Sarah Harrington or Elizabeth Mercer being like, if I'm out of check, please check me. Please tell me, Joseph, you're out of touch. We need to have a chat. Because I think that one thing that comes with the president is being able to be humble and being able to listen to others and being receptive to that feedback. Because if you are unable to do that, then you're unequivocally unable to do the job. And I think that really answers that question. Accountability comes from being able to understand what the definition of team is. And the definition of team does not mean I, as your teachers in middle school said. It means us. Thank you.
30 seconds if you'd like to respond.
I definitely agree with Joseph. President's a leadership position where you're in the back and you're guiding everyone forward. I've learned that this year. I've grown a lot since I was first elected in the fall and joined last year. If elected president, I will help all my exec board members grow, kind of like I did over the last year.
We'll now have closing statements.
Great. I've reflected deeply on why I want to be president. And to be completely honest, I don't think I knew the reason at first. I think I was just like, this is what I want to do. I want to grow. And then a realization struck me recently when I stumbled upon a pin from my early days in student government back in 2016 in middle school, coinciding with my coming out as an openly gay man in Mississippi. A bittersweet journey marked by fear and transformation, witnessing the tragedies faced by countless boys like me, hate crimes, disappearances, instilled in me a passion for social justice. One particular poignant memory for me is of a boy in my Catholic seminary in middle school who came out to his parents and stopped showing up shortly after being kicked out of his home. I thought about him often over the years as they passed, and I researched. I never really found anything on him. I don't know if he's alive or if he isn't, but I did learn about the stories of countless other boys like him and me who didn't have a good story. And on that note, reflecting on the opportunities that I've had and the experiences that I've had, the support networks, I feel fortunate. While I faced challenges, I had a support network unlike others, like those on the media. This memory drives my commitment to preventing others from slipping through the cracks. I believe I'm uniquely positioned to contribute to our community, inspired by the resilience of those like Jason, the kid from my Catholic seminary. And I think I'll leave it with that. I think that, humanizing the experience is the most important thing about being president, and I think that's what I want to lead with. I want to reimagine leadership and put community first. Thank you.
First, I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight, and I want to thank Joseph. It's been a fun debate, and I wish we did this last year. I've been on exec for a year and a half. I feel I have the experience to be president. I've learned how to work with my exec board. I've learned what I've needed to do. I got a commuter lounge built. I'm working with my exec board on a common hour, a spring showcase. I'm working with VP Hearn on signage and branding around campus, and we're working to create a tradition that I'm going to keep secret for now, but he knows about. I'm also working on shuttle tracking, something that I hope whoever succeeds me next year will keep working on for me. I plan to do everything possible to advocate for every single student on this campus. As someone who is a commuter and someone who's a res student, I know the different student perspectives in that aspect, and I plan to work with my entire exec board from Vice President of Equity, VP Finance, and all the way up and down to make sure that every single student on this campus has a voice and that student government can work for them, and that we do whatever it is to help every single student feel like they're included and belong at Westfield State. Thank you.
Please give both candidates a round of applause. This will conclude the 2024 Student Government Association election debate, first annual. I'd like to thank you all for participating this evening, both audience members and candidates. This was an idea that was presented to me under 2 weeks ago, and we made it happen, team. And a reminder to anyone in the room who may not have already heard, but we're in an election, and the ballots will be available April 16th through 17th. Thank you, Adam. Go out and vote. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Good night.